Okay, let's talk about IVR's auto attendants. In the VoxIP terminology, IVR is an auto attendant. Auto attendants obviously are older terminology used by legacy provider manufacturers. An auto attendant obviously is the ability to auto answer a call, play a greeting, and then offer the incoming caller selections to be routed to departments, leave voicemails, such and such like that. So, but once again, we call them IVRs. In the industry, an IVR stands for interactive voice response. And in some of the legacy IVRs, you'll also have the ability to have voice capabilities where you can speak. We do not do that on the VoxIP system. So, like, for example, say to for sales department, to. We require you to push it on your telephone. So just to make sure, even though we call it an IVR, we are using the legacy auto attendant capabilities on this for the system. IVRs are enabled by default on the system, so there's no other license or anything you have to pay for, so it comes with the system. As you can see here, we're going to go to Applications IVR. And we have some IVRs here. Let's go ahead and add another one. Let's call it Sales Department. And once again, we can call this anything we want. We can also provide any kind of description, however you want to, if you want to put it, this is the sales department who makes a lot of money for our company, whatever description you want to put in there. You also need to choose an announcement. And one of the things we probably should have done before we did the IVR, and let's go ahead and do that, is we probably should have come over here and gone to Admin, System Recordings. And let's go through that first, because really that's where you start. So we want to add a recording. We want to name that recording, and let's just call it Open Sales. How about that? Once again, description. If we want to have any type of other languages available, we can do that as well. We can upload the recording. Now, one of the things that IP Convergence does for all its customers that are under annual maintenance agreements is they can actually go to a web page on our website, and they can actually put in information here, and we will professionally record it for them and send it back and upload it on their system. This is a service that's provided, once again, free of charge. You can send as many of those as you'd like, and someone at IP Convergence will actually record it, add background music, make it really professional, and then give you the ability, if you wanted to come over here and then upload it. If you didn't want to do that, you can actually enter your extension. So let's say $29.99, and you can click call. It'll actually ring your phone. You can pick up the phone, say you're recording, and when you're done, you can hit pound, then hang up. It'll actually prompt you for a name, and then you can convert it to whatever file format you want. Just leave it as WAV if you want to, but if you have to have, for some other reason, maybe you're an international caller and that's the encoding they're using, we offer, as you can see, 8 other different conversion file formats. Once you hit submit, that file would actually show up now in the listing that you could choose. So let's go back over to Applications, IVR. We'll add that IVR. We'll give it an IVR name. Once again, Open Sales. I'm going to come over here to the announcement, and I'm just going to use test as the announcement. So once the call is answered, it'll immediately start playing that recording, and that's where you want to give them the options. You can also turn on direct dial, which means, thank you for calling IP Convergence. If you know your party's extension, please enter it at any time. If you enable that, they could dial someone's extension directly without having to go through the operator or choose a selection on there if they know the destination extension. Once again, same thing. We can add an alert info so the customer knows this is coming from this IVR. And we'll have a video on, excuse me, on the alert info and how to set that up. But you can actually have up to 10 different alert ringings on your phone to give you the information so you can audibly determine who is calling you. Come down here a little bit more. Some of the main things you want to do is you want to have a invalid destination. So let's say you have 1, 2, and 3 as your options. Someone press 4. You create an invalid destination. Usually what you'll end up doing is just running it back to the same IVR. But the first time you set up, you have to choose something where it goes to. So obviously this is the first IVR. You wouldn't have that option. You just want to run it to an extension and then come back and change it to itself. So we'll just leave it as IVR main. We also want to have a timeout recording. Where does it go if they don't press any buttons? And once again, you'd probably just run it back through your open sales. And once again, we have to set this up first before we can select that. And I'll show you that here in a minute. And then now we can get back to the digits that are going to be pressed. And one of the powerful things about VoxIP is that we can route calls inbound, outbound from an IVR to another system that has a trunk connection. It doesn't matter. So let's say they press 1. And even though you may have extensions that are in that range of 1100, let's say 1200, the IVR is smart enough to know that when you're pressing digits, it'll actually have an interdigit timeout. So you can actually have extensions in that same range that start with 1. They will not conflict. Most phone systems, you can't do that. If you have extension range from 200 or 2000 to 2099, button 2, you can't use that. But we can do that. So let's go ahead and just say we're going to run it to sales. I'm going to use an extension, and I'm going to choose the sales phone. Let's add another digit. Let's say we're going to say option 2. That's going to go to our ring group service. Come over to ring groups, drop it down to service. So once again, you can be very customizable. I know that's not a proper grammar word, but customizable for your entries. You can use any digit that's on the phone. So like, for example, if I want to come up here and let's say I say shift 8 and I want to use the star button, I can run that. I can even have that run to voicemail and have that as a voicemail of somebody's individual voicemail, or we can actually set it up for the voicemail for people to access voicemail on the system itself. So this is how you set up a IVR. But let me go back and let's save this real quick. I want to hit submit. I want to save this. And you'll see it now show up in my list. There's open sales. So like I told you before, one of the things you want to do, it's a good practice. Once again, if they choose an invalid destination, you probably just want to run them back to the IVR that they're in, and you can't have that option until you've actually submitted it. So we'll hit submit and hit apply config. So once again, IVRs are used to answer calls. We can actually have IVRs on the back of ring groups. So it goes through a ring group or it goes through an ACD. So let's say like sales. We could actually, let's go ahead and, yeah, we'll do that. We'll go to sales. And then what we'll do is we could actually come down here at the very bottom. We can say, hey, instead of going to no destination, send it to the IVR and choose whatever IVR we want. So you have a lot of flexibility in using IVRs. IVRs, once again, interactive voice response. The old legacy telco guys will call them auto attendants, but they're used to answer calls, and they're really, a lot of them, every company has an auto attendant or IVR when the office is closed. And you can we'll show you how to set up timing and time groups and destination timeouts, things like that. But once again, this is IVRs and how we set them up. When you set up your IVRs, remember, like we did before, make your recording first, then create your IVR so you can choose the IVR on it. So I hope you learned a lot from this video on IVRs. And the next video will come up. We'll actually start talking about time conditions and time groups, and you'll see how we can make the system use different times all the way down to individual numbers. It's very configurable, multi-tenant capable. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.